So we'll be working inside of Sketchup today, and we'll be just looking at some basic tools and adding, looking at layers, entity info. We'll be looking at how to setting projection to parallel. We'll talk about locking and controlling layers, adding objects, and then how to like set up a scene so that you guys can use the same scene over and over again, so you have some consistency in your pinup on Tuesday next week. All right. So let's look at this. First of all, I'm just going to draw something out, so just so we can go over the basic modeling tools. So first of all, let's just draw something out. We'll click and drag. So I'm just using a rectangle here. Click and hold. If we press Option, you select a corner. Depends what you want. Grab something, draw it out. We'll draw a few things. I'll draw that, and then remember we don't always group things, but for the operation I want to do, which is the solid tools operation, I'm going to group things. So Control G to group, and I'll make a few more interesting shapes. Just using the push and pull tools, etc. Adding in objects. What objects? Oh yeah, this is just how you make things. I mean, I'm just showing you how you make things in general. So each object that you make, hold on one sec. Each object that you make, as you make it, depending on the size, and all you have to do is when you grab a rectangle, you want to make a specific size thing, just type in the values as you go. So 10, 5, and 2. Okay, so it can give you a box. That thing's very tiny right now. Remember the scale. Remember each thing you select, you want to triple click and group, because you may find it's sticking to other things, and that's always irritating, especially with these when you want to continuously rearrange stuff. The grouping isn't only to stop sticking, it also facilitates things like, for example, the solid tools. So we'll quickly look at the solid tools, so we can move all of these. Let's have a look. Okay, so they've all kind of intersected each other in some way. We'll just go through these. Select one and the other, especially if you're uniting them together. It's just looking for groups, and it makes it one continuous group. And then we can select, one and the other, and we can tell it to subtract, and so subtract that object from there. So that's the basic solid tools. You can kind of just set that up so that, however you want to move things. If you want to make a hole in something, for example, not that you'll be doing that in this, but you can draw that on the surface, and then you can grab this and extrude it. And because we're grouped, it's not sticking to anything, so that's nice. Triple click, Control G, this plus this with a subtraction. Oopsie. This plus this with a subtraction gives us a hole. Okay, so those are solid tools at their best. You just select the subtractor and then the subtractee, and then hit the button. I'll create a few more objects so that the scene is not so denuded. Of course, you can draw lines on surfaces. Say I want a line like that, and I want a line like that. That's useful. I can then grab that surface and extrude that one, and I can grab that surface and I can push that one down, and I can grab that surface and I can push that one back. It just depends what you like. Okay, so I've got my object set up in this way. The next thing we need to know is how we can set a camera angle to parallel projection. I showed you this briefly in the last tutorial. It's very similar. Go to camera. So you're going to need this for the orthographic projection. So when something says orthographic projection, they're talking about parallel projection in SketchUp or in whatever software. Parallel projection, we'll select that. Do you see how everything squares out? We'll go back to perspective. You see how there's a vanishing point on these? This one's getting longer. In fact, this is the easiest way to show you. Just grab this and pull it up. You'll see that it gets broader and broader and broader the further we go up. That means that there's a vanishing point, okay? Things are kind of culminating at a point. However, if we go to parallel projection, we can keep zooming out or zooming in forever, and the lines remain in parallel. So generally we use, and this is a great question. So orthographic views, and just make this a rule of thumb. We use orthographic views, plans, sections, elevations, and isometric. So plan drawings flat from the top view. So control 1, plan views. Control 3, elevation views. And then obviously a section, which is the way we push into this object. And then the last one will be view. ISO number 7, okay, which is that, which is a 30, it's the 30, 30, so I kind of split into this view. So, to tell you what they're for, isometric, orthogonal views like this, parallel projection views, are purely for technical drawing and delivering kind of measurable information to the viewer. Specifically measurable, like I can stick a ruler on this and tell you how big the one piece is relative to the other piece because everything's at the same factor. However, when we go into a perspective, perspectives are excellent for visualizing things. Why is that? Why do you think a perspective would be good for visualizing? What did you say? What did you say? No, but close. What did you say? No, not close though. So can orthographics in a kind of interesting way if we control our line weights, right? We've done that before. We push the line weights back and we can get some depth in the drawing. So what else? Anybody else? No, we see proportions even better in orthographic because we can see the exact size of things. Anybody? What's realistic about it? You ever experienced this in the world? Have you ever found a place in the world where you saw everything like this? Yeah, I hope not. I mean, you'd have to be going through some pretty wild existential crisis for that to be happening. I'm just calling it an existential crisis so I can upload this video to YouTube. But basically, what do you think? It's something to do with that. And what was you said it was about? It's about realism and the horizon line. What does reality have that the horizon line creates? A diminishing, vanishing point. Non-measurable vanishing point, things that disappear into the distance. That is why we use perspective. They match the eye. They make us read things the way we would read them in reality. It's a frozen moment. We have to, I mean, there's an art to adjusting that, but that is the main reason. All right, so that's why we use isometrics. Does that answer your question? I think so. So just to get back to your assignment, remember, camera, set it to parallel projection, standard views, isometric, just like this. Once you've done this, the next thing we need to do is freeze your scene. I don't want to move this camera ever again. Once I've set it up once, I want to be done, right? I want to leave that camera there. I just want to snap back to it every time. So one thing we don't get to see is I've always got this little pop-out window here. It seems to think that I love this window. I kind of do. I can't seem to find it. It's under window, sorry, it's under view, tool palettes, solid tools. You find it? View, tool palettes, solid tools. Anyway, that's not what's important here. What's important here is this. We need to go to window, and I want to show you two new kind of window systems that we want to look at. The first one will be how to save a view so that the view never, like once we've changed something, maybe we scan the camera around to look at something. Remember, there's not multiple viewports, it's just one. So if we move it, we might lose our kind of critical camera. Why would we want to keep the camera in the same place over and over again? Why would we never want to move the camera? It's one reason. That's how I feel often, but it's not the best. It's not the best reason. What else? Alma? Why wouldn't we move a camera? Like if we were taking 2D line work, you know how I can export this to AutoCAD? If I was exporting to AutoCAD, why wouldn't I move the camera? Better question. what do you think moving the camera would cause in my file if I had to do a new export? No longer the same size, no longer in the same space or place, and so you have to kind of adjust the scale and place things in place, and that's really irritating. So first thing I'd like you to do is go to Window, and we're going to go to Scenes. Here's the Scenes menu. Window, Scenes.
Just like that other thing, I don't have the view palette either. It's definitely not view palette on my screen.
There's your views.
Okay.
So that's isometric. So all of yours are getting popped into here in the tray, okay? So that's your layers menu. Window. What is this? And there it is. There on the side there.
Okay.
Okay, hold on one sec. You're gonna have to wait. Okay. Now's not the time. It's going straight in here, man. Sorry. If you want to sit at the back, you can do it there. That's definitely on YouTube, though. Okay, so listen. Let's look at this one more time. Remember, set your camera to parallel projection. You want to go standard views, number 7. I like it this way because it's kind of locked at the 30-90. Remember, parallel projection. So I like it locked this way. That's where we want it. Isometric in parallel projection. So the thing on the right called scenes is a great way to save your kind of preset views. If you like the way you've set it up, you just use the scenes tab. All you do is you press the plus button, and it adds what they call a photo. It seems like if you you can show details and you can add a description and whatever, and telling you what it's saving. So it's camera location, hidden geometry, visible layers, active selection planes, style and fog, shadow settings, axis locations. A lot of stuff that's included here. However, the only reason I think it's useful is for this. Spin, spin, random spin, la la la, set custom, double click. Zoom out, double click. Okay, zoom out, rotate, do this, camera, standard views, ISO 7, not working. But if I double click, back to where I need to be. Also, by the way, if you want to change the isometric view when you're starting, so say it keeps lining up in this direction, we always get that face and that face. But if I want to get the other faces like these, I just go here, we go camera, standard views, isometric, and it will pop me into that view, okay? So it just needs to kind of know, oh, you're looking at it from that direction. Same for this, we go here, camera, views, isometric, it will just kind of pop you to that direction. And you can always add a new plus sign, and then you can go, oh, look, I want to see it that way. I want to see it that way. Oh, I want to see it that way again. Oh, this is fun. So we can spin that around as we need, and then of course if you want to look at it from the bottom, just come down here, camera, standard views, isometric. Oh, it knows it's doing a worm's eye view as opposed to a bird's eye view, and add that, and so now we can have a look. So that one, very nice. That one, that one. What does this mean? It means that if I have something and I'm trying to show you, oh, I've done this amazing thing, check. Okay, I made this cool box over here, and now that box got extruded. Maybe that was a little bit rash. And this one's, anyway, bottom line is I made a change. I can now export again. The objects are in the same place, so I'll undo this. Alma, just to prove your statement right? We'll select what we have, drag select all of them, file, export, 2D graphic. So this is an export DWG file. I believe it's DWG, is that right? So for Illustrator, straight to Illustrator, which is probably not the right thing to do. We might want to go to CAD first to do a bit of cleanup, especially if we have lots of lines. But for now, we'll send it straight here. We'll call this new export. And here. So that's exported. But now, if we come here and we make any edits, so if we decide that we're going to split this a couple times, and that one's going to get lifted. And it's going to get a bit smaller. Anyway, bottom line is we make a change to something. Pull it. Okay, so that's happened. I can file, export 2D graphic again, and we'll call that new export 2. Press OK. Now when I go to Illustrator and we open things, I can select both of those and open them, scale to fit the artboard, press OK. So there's that one, and there's this one, which are exactly the same. I can copy this, and I can control paste it into the same spot. And if that's not looking exactly right, they're proportionally still the same, so they snap together very nicely. And if they scale differently, it's really easy. Just put one point on there and grab another corner and just bring it out till here, so it snaps. So, I mean, they basically belong to the same family, and it doesn't, so basically there's no weird rotations, there's no strange setup like that. Why are they getting slightly different exports? Probably because in the one operation, I selected everything and then exported, and the other one, I just exported. Right. But that's why saving scene is so important. Okay, what happens if we want to create one thing and the other thing, but we don't want them to, and we want to kind of work on a series of layers, and we're like in the middle of something, but we want to lock something when we're working, which you may have experienced. Like you may have kept grabbing something unnecessarily, or you may have kept bumping something you don't want to bump, and you have to go back and change it every time, or you kept selecting the same thing over and over again, and you didn't mean to select it. Okay, so there's a way of doing that. We go Window, we're going to go to the Layers menu. This is the Layers menu. We can close the scenes for now because we have that set up. The other thing we need is we need Window and we need Entity Info. So entity info tells you what the object you have selected is belonging to, and layers tells you just how your layers are set up. In layers, it's just like AutoCAD. We can add lots of layers, different colors. You can turn layers on and off, etc. If I select a group, we can click in entity info. We can click the layer drop down and choose a new layer. You can lock that group specifically by just clicking. You can lock that specific item by just clicking the lock button, and you can hide that specific item by doing that. You can also hide it by turning off layer 3. Okay, so it's just a layering system. It will help you control your work. For example, if you're doing like this here is on layer 0, but we'll put it on layer number 1. Okay, and we can do that. I'm just going to group this for safety's sake. And then remember, you might want to tell it which layer you want to work on. So you'll see there's a little pen tool here. That just tells it what layer we're editing at the time. Okay, so if I draw things on layer 2 now, it will be on layer 2. If I draw things now, it will be on layer 1, or layer 0. Simple, just like this. Say I've drawn something like so, right? That thing, if I go to Window, Entity Info, or Command I, it will give you an option to change the layer. So I can say it's layer 2. All right, so adding objects is very straightforward. You just have to model that object. Just go look at the list of objects. Let's quickly have a look at that together. Hopefully my yeah. I have no idea what's going on with the internet, but so be it. Okay, so let's quickly go over those steps one more time. Make a new file. So these are the steps that you're going to need to do the next part of the assignment, okay? First of all, just draw out the shapes that you've been working on or that you've been assigned. And so there are, I believe, 15 or 12 shapes that you've been assigned. I can't see that right now, but we will flow it. How do I draw those out? Draw them just exactly in the values that they should be. So it's 10, say 10 foot. I'm just inputting the values. Have a look here, bottom right-hand side of my screen. 10 foot by 5 foot. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Dat. So here we go. We got 10 by 10 by 6. So that's 10 foot by 10 foot. Oopsie. 10, enter, 10, and oh, sorry. I'm pressing 10, comma 10, comma 6 inches. Strange. stupid. 10, comma 10. And that is in inches. So we'll do this one more time. 10 feet, comma 10 foot. There's my 10 foot by 10 foot. Sorry, that was stupid.
So you can't do the 6 until you do the push pull.
Yeah. So let's try this again. Sorry. I'm trying to make this video nice and clean for you. All right. So first things first, we just use the box tool. We're going to put in the value 10 foot, comma 10 foot. Enter. That gives us that. Then we're going to use the push pull operation right here. 6 inches. 6 inches, like that. So there you go. That's our push pull tool, object set. Triple click on it, Control G to group, always. Okay, you need 5 of these, so you can copy paste and you can just put them along here, something like that. 5. Three by 16 foot by 6 inches. 3 foot by 16 foot. And then 5 by 5 by 6. 5 foot, comma 5 foot. Group it. Triple click to group. Copy paste. Copy paste. So, you know, there's a point where you want to speed things up. So you have 10, and how many of these? We need 4 of these guys. Huh?
And they're all 6 inches.
Oh, shit. That just happened. Okay, so that's the basics of what you need. They're all grouped individually. That's all you need to have done with it. All of them need to be rotated so that they are standing upright. Nothing can, well, they can kind of lie. I think they cannot lie flat on their faces as far as I know. They should generally stand as vertical planes, especially considering the reading that you've just done. So if you end up putting lots of planes lying flat on the ground, the chances are I'm going to ask you to do it again. So probably don't do that. But if you've got a tactical reason to stack some on the ground, I understand. I'll listen to your thinking. So we're going to do this. We're going to press the rotate tool. Rotate tool, just going to look for a face to grab onto. Grab that face, grab that edge, and rotate. However, if you're smart, you will take all of them at the same time. Control 1, select those, orbit. Hello. Rotate, get the right axis. Oh, that's the wrong axis. We need to be green. Grab that. Let's snap up. So that would be, you know, that'd be a quick way of just kind of going about that. Okay, stand them all up and then go from there. How do we move one object to the surface of another object? We grab it with a move tool. We grab the bottom corner, and then we just kind of drag it here, and we'll just operate on surface or on edge or on corner. You can have a look, nice and flush. So that's how you'll be placing things. Of course, you can rotate stuff as you need. You know, grab the rotate tools. Remember, just to think about, make sure it grabs the right face for you. You're totally allowed to do things like that. That's fine. That'd look great. You've got to lean on other things though if you do that. These guys, the only direction they may not be is this direction. They cannot be standing up, so they cannot stand up on the short end. They can stand up this way though. All right. They just cannot stand up this way. All right. Illegal. These get These get copy and pasted into your SketchUp file, you know, the master file where everything is. Once you place them, sorry, give me a second. Project done. Right, there you go. You guys take forever. Okay, so there's my art courtyard. Obviously yours is way better than mine. I'm gonna place these around, move them. You go there, do a little rotation. By the way, if you click on it and you highlight your mouse over it, those red things are about rotations, okay? Those little red arrows, if you grab a red arrow, you can rotate it. You can do that to it if you want to. You can do that to it if you want to. Anything you like, okay? So place those around. Same with these. Sorry, these are all lying flat. So we'll go for the move tool. Just showing with the move tool, if I highlight over here, oh, we've got too many selected. So we go rotate. And bada bing. Then you just deliver them. I mean, this is a pretty good project already, just 3 layers. No, I'm joking. But you could do, you could do anything you like. Place them in that. Then come here and here. I just want to move these things down. They're a little in my face. Once I've done that, come to a side view like this. Kind of set up the isometric, get it ready. Camera, parallel projection, camera, set view, isometric. All right. Pan tool. Looks good. Just like this. If things are hidden over here, you want to do that. Just rotate and make sure you can see the stuff. If things are hidden on both sides, then what do? Any suggestions? Front view is not going to be a good one. That's elevation. We don't want that. We want the isometric view, okay? If things are hidden behind here, a great way to do it is this. Either select this proportion of the building and like delete it and make it into a dashed line. So you can make that line, that line, that line, and that line, and that line all just dotted lines. So it looks like hidden information, which is totally a thing. That's okay. Or do one view and then pan around, do the other view, and submit both so that we can have a good understanding of your project. I don't see an issue. The correct way to do it, though, is to kind of produce a set of hidden lines here so that we can kind of see what's going on. So this piece here, that would all be kind of hidden line work. Something like that might work. You can delete the faces. I think that's fine as well. So something like this, as simple as that, select all, file, export, 2D graphic, export me, that, open that, export me, let's open it, scale to fit the artboard. We're not worried about scale right now. So there we have solids plus this one. We can now select these lines, this line here, this line here. Well, you guys, and you say, okay, that's great. You get to become, so click on the stroke button. I want you to become dashed, say 4 and 4. Whatever looks good for you, that's a little bit fine. So what is that, 8 and 8? Looks a bit better. Get a nice line work to it. Yeah. Make sure it doesn't crop the top of your building, so make sure everything is zoomed out properly when you do it. It's just cropping to the viewport. And that's it. All right. So for Tuesday next week, you guys are producing these with 3 options per person. So That's going to give me 3 layout options for his things. They're going to be based on what? The lines that you submit on Thursday this week. On Thursday this week, 3 lines in one either plan drawing or just, actually no, sorry, 3 lines in a SketchUp file. Just finish your SketchUp files, add the lines to the SketchUp file. You're not going to submit any like digital line drawing stuff until Tuesday next week when I'm back. Tuesday next week, there's going to be a printed version of this required on the wall. Okay. Think about all the same line weighting operations that we did when we worked, when we were looking at the first assignment. Okay, what's weighted, what's the edge, what's forward, what's back, they apply here as well. This dashed line thing is very important for you guys, so make sure you do that. Otherwise, you have to do 2 drawings per project. That would be stupid. Okay. Just remember how I did that. I just came in here and I deleted those faces. Okay, that would be the best way. All right. I think that's it.
So, no passwords.
We can talk about that.